Rome was the eternal city, the capital of the ancient world. But let's get real, none of that grandeur and style matters if you don't have a place to poop. Ever wondered how the Romans handled their business? Well, we're about to dive into exploding toilets, cursed sewers, and public poop parties. This is the surprisingly wild world of ancient Roman sanitation, broken into 5 parts you'll never forget. In Rome, pooping wasn't private. It was a team sport. Forget the lonely, locked bathroom stall of today. Romans believed that relieving yourself was a group activity. Unlike other civilizations where public latrines were often just holes in the ground that doubled as existential crisis chambers, Rome's public restrooms were a communal affair. Long marble benches with holes, all lined up in a row, no walls, no dividers, just you, your fellow Romans, and an intimate knowledge of everyone's dietary choices. No partitions, no shame, just eye contact and awkward conversation. Yes, public latrines weren't just functional, they were social hubs. This was social networking before social media. Small talk in the elevator is much less awkward than this. And let's not forget the decor. Some public latrines were actually quite fancy, adorned with intricate mosaics and elaborate frescoes. In fact, the design of Roman toilets was pretty modern for their standards. For instance, Romans even had running water beneath the seats to help wash away waste, which, let's be honest, already makes their system more advanced than some gas station bathrooms today. But here's where it gets really interesting. Instead of a flushing mechanism, a steady stream of water ran underneath the latrines, carrying everything away. Sounds nice, right? Well, not quite. You see, methane gas would build up in the tunnels below, leading to exploding toilets. One moment you're sitting there, minding your business, and the next your seat is launching you into the stratosphere. Interestingly, the toilet blowing up was not your only problem. If the toilets weren't trying to launch you, they were probably trying to bite you. Yes, rats and other lovely sewer creatures had a nasty habit of scurrying up the pipes and giving people a very unpleasant surprise. Roman sewers were home to Rattus giganticus, otherwise known as, "Oh my gods, that's the biggest rat I've ever seen." Some poor Romans got an unpleasant surprise when a rat decided to make a dramatic entrance upwards. If you thought a clogged toilet was bad, imagine discovering that your plumbing had developed fangs. Public latrines were a staple of Roman life, but they weren't without their risks. They were loud, smelly, and occasionally deadly. Yet Romans still used them with pride because in a society built on the glory of civilization, even something as simple as pooping had to be a public spectacle. Hey, at least you weren't pooping in a bush. So you've braved the social gauntlet of the public latrine, dodged exploding seats, and hopefully avoided any unexpected rat encounters. But now comes the most crucial part: cleaning up. Enter the tersorium, a communal sponge on a stick, dipped in water and vinegar, and shared among all users. Yes, you heard that right. Just a damp, questionably sanitized sponge that dozens of people have used before you. It was basically the first version of a reusable bidet, but with a 100% chance of disease. The process was simple. After finishing your business, you'd take the sponge, give yourself a quick wipe, rinse it in the communal water trough, and place it back for the next lucky participant. If you're thinking that this was not remotely hygienic, you would be correct. The tersorium wasn't just a practical tool, it was a great equalizer. Everyone, from senators to shopkeepers, used it, proving that no matter how powerful you were, you still had to deal with the same sticky situations. Some Romans even believed that using the tersorium helped build character, though we'd argue it probably just built immunity to about 100 different diseases. Of course, the truly wealthy had alternatives. Some aristocrats used soft wool, while others went full eco-friendly with moss. Because nothing screams, "I'm rich," like wiping your rear with premium organic plant matter. And in case you're wondering, yes, archaeologists have actually found remnants of tertiaria in ancient latrines. So next time you complain about one-ply toilet paper, just remember, it could have been a vinegar sponge that touched 30 strangers' butts. All right, you've done the deed, wiped with a sponge, and now it's time for nature to take its course. But where did all that waste actually go? Well, welcome to the world of Roman plumbing, where necessity met ingenuity. Unlike medieval Europe, which thought of streets as perfectly acceptable dumping grounds, the Romans had a sophisticated underground sewage system, the Cloaca Maxima. And no, that's not the name of an ancient cologne brand. It means great sewer. This engineering marvel was one of the first large-scale drainage systems in history. It funneled waste away from the whole city and into the Tiber River. That's right. If you took a dip in the Tiber, you weren't just cooling off. You were marinating in the collective regrets of an entire civilization. Think of it like the ancient world's version of an all-natural detox bath. Except instead of Epsom salt, it featured whatever Publius had for dinner last night. But the Romans didn't stop there. The waste disposal process was clean and safe. Of course, by clean, we mean as clean as you can get when your toilet is essentially an open-air gateway to the underworld. The alternative was much worse. Despite the occasional plumbing nightmares, the Cloaca Maxima remained a marvel of engineering. Not only did it keep the streets cleaner and marginally less smelly, but it also helped drain excess rainwater, preventing floods that could turn Rome into Venice before Venice was even a thing. Maintenance workers, known as cloacanae, were tasked with keeping it functional, bravely venturing into the tunnels to clear blockages, remove debris, and probably question every single one of their life choices. And here's the wildest part. Parts of the Cloaca Maxima are still in use today. That means Rome has literally been flushing for over 2,000 years. Talk about longevity. Meanwhile, modern plumbing can't survive a single Thanksgiving dinner without needing emergency intervention. So the next time you flush your toilet, take a moment to appreciate the Romans. For the ultra-rich, sharing a bathroom with peasants was out of the question. After all, if you had the money, you wouldn't subject yourself to the awkwardness of making eye contact with a random senator mid-squat. That's why many elite Romans had private toilets in their homes, a luxury that separated them from the unwashed masses, literally and figuratively. These private latrines were often located near the kitchen. Well, nothing enhances a fine dining experience like knowing there's a direct line between your appetizer and its inevitable exit. Wealthy Romans spared no expense in making their toilet experience lavish. Some had marble seats, because if you're going to freeze your rear off in the middle of winter, it might as well be on premium stone. Others adorned their facilities with artistic mosaics, contemplating while engaging in natural activities. Some even had perfumed water basins for washing, ensuring that their hands smelled delightful, even if everything else in the room didn't. But even with all these luxurious upgrades, the plumbing still connected to the public sewer system, meaning the risks of explosive surprises and rodent intrusions remain. Imagine explaining that to your house guests. Oh, don't mind Claudius the rat, he's just checking in. And if you thought modern-day gossip was bad, let's just say that having a toilet inside your home didn't guarantee privacy. Servants were often within earshot, meaning your most vulnerable moments could become household news faster than you could say pass the wine. It's no wonder some Romans kept small musical instruments nearby to drown out any embarrassing noises. Call it the ancient version of turning the sink on. Still, if you had a private latrine, you were among the privileged few. For everyone else, it was back to the public, where the only thing worse than the smell was the lack of personal space. In the end, whether rich or poor, every Roman learned one universal truth. The sewer gods were fickle, and nature waits for no one. Ancient Romans, ever the superstitious bunch, believed that toilets weren't just for, business. No, these were prime real estate for ghosts, demons, and all sorts of malevolent spirits lurking in the shadows. Because if you're going to be cursed by an angry specter, it might as well be while you're at your most vulnerable, mid-squat, contemplating your life choices. To ward off these sinister forces, Romans got creative. Some public latrines were adorned with protective symbols, like the menacing head of Medusa, whose gaze was said to turn evildoers and, presumably, demonic bathroom lurkers into stone. Imagine being a demon creeping through the sewer system only to pop your head up and lock eyes with a petrifying snake-haired lady. Instant regret. But the Romans didn't stop there. They went full Hogwarts and inscribed magical spells onto the walls, essentially turning their restrooms into spellcasting zones. These inscriptions were the ancient equivalent of those "employees must wash hands before returning to work" signs, except instead of hygiene reminders, they were urgent pleas to the supernatural. The real terror wasn't just psychological, it was physical. Roman ghost stories told of spirits and demons that would literally drag unsuspecting latrine goers into the depths of the sewer abyss. You think a clogged toilet is a nightmare? Imagine explaining to your family that Uncle Claudius didn't just slip and fall. He got sucked into the underworld, never to be seen again, all because he picked the wrong bathroom stall. Somewhere in a parallel dimension, there's probably a line of unfortunate souls eternally stuck in a cosmic plumbing disaster. Now, you might be wondering, were these just tall tales to keep kids from loitering in public restrooms, or was there something more to it? Given that Roman sewage systems were vast, dark, and occasionally home to some very aggressive rats, it's not entirely impossible that someone, at some point, fell victim to an unexpected encounter with nature's less friendly creatures. Whether it was an overgrown serpent, a rogue alligator, yes, some Romans did import exotic pets, or just a particularly vengeful sewer god, one thing was clear: using the latrine was a gamble. So, what can we learn from ancient Roman toilets? First, be grateful for modern plumbing. Second, never take toilet paper for granted. And third, if you ever find yourself in an ancient Roman latrine, maybe don't make eye contact with the guy sitting next to you. Thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe.